What's up, family? Brandon Holmes here. So glad you decided to check out my video today on my YouTube channel. Make sure you go ahead at the end of this video, if you like it, go ahead and hit a like. Hit that subscribe button right now because you like me already. And go ahead and leave some comments. I love that dialogue in the comments. That is very encouraging for me because I believe a YouTube channel is a community. And if we're not having dialogue, then it's more of a lecture. And I'm not a lecture guy. I'm a community guy. With that being said, today I want to talk about something that's really been pressing on my soul. It's something I dealt with all throughout my 20s. And it's something that I'm starting to get a better grasp on the older I get in life. And one of the things my mentor used to say this to me all the time in my 20s was this: Jesus was busy but never hurried. Jesus was busy but never hurried. And what this thing I've realized in society today is where we wear busyness like a badge of honor without realizing that hurry that comes with that busyness is draining our soul. And so after a while of just running at 100 miles per hour and go, and I always feel like I had something to do, I hit a point in my life where I was completely deflated and I was exhausted and I was lethargic and I felt like I didn't have any connection with God, but I felt like I was doing work for God. Come on, who else feels that way when you work for church? You feel like you're doing work for God, but you don't feel like you're doing it with God. And that is not a healthy place to be. And so I got to this place where God was like, hey, you're being really busy and hurried and you're not involving me in it, and you need to follow my lead on what that looks like. And so, one of the things John Mark Comer, he actually says this. He says, hurry is violence on the soul. Hurry is violence on the soul. And so I took some time to go, okay, Jesus was busy. Whenever I read the Gospels, he was always doing something. But then I paid attention to the pace of how he lived. And that was, he took his time. He was methodical in his pace. Matter of fact, I have a couple scriptures in Mark chapter 1, verse 35. It says, before daybreak the next morning, Jesus got up and went out to an isolated place to pray. And this was like the day before he did this, before he did a bunch of healing. He was going to do a bunch of ministering and a bunch of healing. And you see his priority was like, before I do any of this work, let me go spend some time with my Heavenly Father and pray. We see this also in Luke chapter 5, verse 15 and 16. It says, but despite Jesus' instructions, the report of his power spread even faster, and vast crowds came to hear him preach and to be healed of their diseases. But Jesus often withdrew to the wilderness for prayer. And here it is. Everyone wants to see Jesus. Everyone wants to talk to Jesus. Everyone wants to be healed by Jesus. And what does he find priority to do? He takes time to pray. And you see this because everybody wanted him. He was in high demand. And yet he was like, I'm moving at my own pace. I'm going to spend time with my Father. I'm going to get there when I get there. You see this with Lazarus. Like, everyone's like, Lazarus is dead. And Jesus like kind of methodically taking his time to get there, which really proves this point to me. Is like, Jesus did not allow anybody else to dictate the pace of life he needed to live at. He knew that God's timing was the best timing, and he couldn't allow anybody else to speed him up. He was actually moving about life the way he should have, at the right pace, at the right timing, knowing when I get to where I'm supposed to be, God is going to allow me to do the things that he has called me to do. And so one of the things I really want us to take away from this is why Jesus could be busy but not hurry. And here's these foundational principles. Was one, Jesus, he knew his priorities. He was here to be about his Father's business, and he knew what he had to do every step of the way. Number two is he built margin. Before he did anything, we saw he often went and took time to pray and isolate and spend time with his Father so he could fill up his cup. Too many of us are trying to pour from an empty well, and it's more important for us to fill the well so we actually have something to pour from. Number three, he trusted God's timing. You saw this even with his brothers in John chapter 7. They're like, hey, go tell everybody who you are. Go do healings. Go do miracles. And he literally says this. He goes, now is not the right time for me to go, but you can go anytime. He knew people were trying to force him into something that he knew it wasn't the time for. So he trusted God's timing. And too many of us are trying to do way too much because God gave us a vision, God gave us a dream. And that does not mean that vision or dream isn't true. But my mentor says like this: God's timing is his kindness. And too many times we're trying to do the thing God has placed in our heart when it's not the time that he wants us to do it. So I would say this: trust God's timing, because when God's timing is right, you don't have to work, scramble, grind hard, push, do all these things to make it happen. But it's something amazing that when you trust God's timing as God's timing, it all kind of smoothly takes care of itself. And last but not least, he was present in the moment. I love that you see Jesus was always fully present. He never seemed distracted. He was always right there where he needed to be, engaged with the people that he was called to serve. And so I know this is really big in ministry circles, but this is just big in all circles, whether you're in ministry, corporate, nonprofit. All of us feel like we're busy, and that's true. We're going to be busy. That's life sometimes, especially whether you're married, whether you have kids, or just anything. You don't have to be married or kids to be busy. It's just we're busy. But our busyness shouldn't make us hurried. So practically what this looks like for me as I take time away to spend time with my Father every day. There's nothing more important than devotional time with my Father. Then this is what I do. I live off a calendar. If it's not on a calendar, it's not real life. The calendar allows me to structure my day-to-day so that I make sure that I'm accomplishing what I need to accomplish, but I'm not running around with a chicken with my head cut off. And third, I've had to learn the power of saying no. Sometimes I just say no because I have to look at what is the cost. What is this going to cost me? And if this is costing me my peace, if this is costing me having to feel like I'm hurried and I have to move faster than I want to move, then it's not for me. So I hope this helps you today. I hope you can take some of these principles and apply it to your life. And I hope we all can take the example of Jesus. We can be busy, but let's never be hurried. Hope you love that today. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And let me know what you think in the comments. I'm interested to see what people think about what we just talked about. And I enjoy the dialogue. See you next week for next week's video. Take care. Peace.